Who died this week? November 2025, number 1 celebrity deaths and more. What if I told you that some of the most powerful lives in our culture ended this week? And the world barely noticed while timelines scroll past drama and gossip. The stories of people who actually changed history are slipping away in silence. Tonight, we're breaking that silence. This is Legends of Black Excellence, and in this episode, we're pulling back the curtain on the biggest, most underreported deaths of November 2025. Before we start, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and drop A in the comments so you never miss the stories they don't put on the front page. Lee Weaver. In this first November 2025 edition of Who Died This Week? November 2025. Number 1 celebrity deaths and more. The spotlight turns toward one of those faces you've seen countless times but may never have named Lee Weaver. Though he passed away on September 22, 2025, at his home in Los Angeles at the age of 95, the news of his death only became public weeks later, so he's now honored alongside the latest national losses. The video frames Weaver as a quintessential character actor, a man who spent decades slipping into supporting roles that quietly shaped the shows and films we love. While other parts of the episode remember NFL greats, celebrated musicians, and powerful political figures, Weaver's life story gives this week's roll call a deeply human, almost intimate center. The tribute reminds viewers that Lee Weaver's legacy is woven through decades of television. He appeared in series like The Cosby Show, Hill Street Blues, and Easy Street, always bringing a grounded, authentic energy to the screen. For animation fans, his voice lives on in the character Alpine from the classic G.I. Joe cartoon. In cinema, he's cherished for his turn as the blind seer in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, a brief but haunting appearance that helped give the film its strange, dreamlike mood. Have you ever watched a scene, felt instantly drawn to the person in the corner of the frame, and only later wondered, who was that? Lee Weaver was often that kind of actor. Not the marquee star, but the presence you couldn't quite shake. Beyond the screen, the video also notes that Weaver served in the U.S. Army for 4 years in the 1950s, adding another layer to a life built on steady commitment and service. That detail quietly links him to the show's broader theme of remembrance, as the episode also acknowledges Veterans Day and invites families to share free obituaries for U.S. veterans. In the same week, we hear about the deaths of figures like former U.S. Vice President Dick Cheney, Oscar-nominated actress Diane Ladd, French actor Cheikh Cario, singer Dona-Jean Godchaux, and rising NFL player Marshawn Kneeland. Weaver's story stands out because it feels so representative: a working actor, a veteran, a man who kept showing up and doing the job well. Taken together, who died this week? November 2025. 1. Celebrity deaths and more becomes more than a list of famous names. It's a reminder of all the lives that flow quietly beneath the biggest headlines. Lee Weaver's segment captures that perfectly. He wasn't the loudest, the flashiest, or the most promoted, but his characters helped anchor scenes, deepen stories, and give texture to the worlds other stars moved through. By taking a few minutes to tell his story clearly, with real dates, real roles, and real service, the video invites viewers to slow down, remember, and maybe look twice the next time they recognize a familiar face in the background. In honoring Lee Weaver, it honors every supporting life that turns out to matter far more than we realized. Dona-Jean Godchaux, singer Dona-Jean Godchaux, is one of the most powerful and moving names in the November 2025 roll call of celebrity deaths. Born Donna Jean Thatcher on August 22, 1947 in Florence, Alabama, she died on November 2, 2025 at a hospice facility in Nashville, Tennessee, after a long battle with cancer at the age of 78. Her story is the journey of a Southern girl with a remarkable ear and a fearless voice who grew into a quiet legend, someone whose singing shaped the sound of both classic soul and psychedelic rock. Long before many fans knew her name, they already knew her voice. Before joining the Grateful Dead, Donna Jean built her reputation as a session vocalist in the fertile music scenes of Muscle Shoals and Memphis. She recorded backing vocals for some of the most enduring hits of the 1960s, including Elvis Presley's Suspicious Minds and Percy Sledge's When a Man Loves a Woman, songs that still play daily on radio stations and streaming playlists around the world. She also lent her voice to artists like Cher Neil Diamond and Boz Scaggs, often uncredited, yet absolutely essential. Have you ever listened to a classic track and felt the backing vocals suddenly lift the whole song without even knowing who was singing them? For countless listeners, that unseen but unforgettable presence was Donna Jean Godchaux. Her life took a dramatic turn in the early 1970s when she and her then-husband, keyboardist Keith Godchaux, joined the Grateful Dead. From around 1972 to 1979, she toured relentlessly with the band, appearing on landmark recordings such as Europe 72 Terrapin Station and Shakedown Street. On stage, her gospel-tinged harmonies floated over Jerry Garcia's guitar and Bob Weir's rhythm, giving the band's sprawling jams a human emotional core. She occasionally stepped into the spotlight with lead vocals and co-writing credits, including the tender "From the Heart of Me" proof that she was more than just a background voice. After leaving the Dead, Donna Jean and Keith formed the Heart of Gold Band, though that chapter was painfully brief due to Keith's fatal car accident in 1980. In later years, Donna Jean married bassist David McKay, continued to write and perform, and eventually returned to the stage in projects like Donna Jean and the Tricksters and the Donna Jean Godchaux Band. She was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1994 as a member of the Grateful Dead, and later honored by the Alabama Music Hall of Fame recognition that simply made official what fans had long felt. When her name appears in Who Died This Week, November 2025, One Celebrity Deaths and More. It's not just another obituary line, it's a reminder that one voice heard in 1,000 choruses and harmonies can leave an imprint that lasts long after the music stops. Bob Trumpy, the November 2025 roll call in Who Died This Week, November 2025, number 1. Celebrity Deaths and More opens with a name that means everything to Cincinnati sports fans, Bob Trumpy. Born on March 6, 1945 in Illinois, and passing away peacefully at his home in Glendale, Ohio, on November 2, 2025 at the age of 80. Trumpy's life traces a full arc from small-town kid to professional athlete to national broadcaster. The video remembers him not just as a former tight end for the Cincinnati Bengals, but as a man who helped define how millions of people watched and listened to football for decades. In a week crowded with high-profile losses, his story sets the tone. This isn't just about who died, but about what they built across a lifetime. On the field, Bob Trumpy was a genuine trendsetter at the tight end position. Drafted in the 12th round of the 1968 Common Draft, he became one of the original Bengals and played 10 seasons for the team from 1968 to 1977. He finished his career with 298 receptions, 4 600 receiving yards, and 35 touchdowns across 128 games, numbers that still stand out in franchise history. With his 6'6" frame and deep threat speed, he forced defenses to treat a tight end like a wide receiver, stretching the field in ways that were rare for his era. The video notes that he earned multiple All-Star honors and quickly became a fan favorite in Cincinnati. Do you remember the first time you saw a tight end outrun an entire secondary and realized the position would never look the same again? But the title number 1, Celebrity Deaths and More, really comes into focus when the story shifts from the stadium to the studio. After retiring from football, Trumpy became a pioneering voice in sports media. In Cincinnati, he was hailed as the father of sports talk radio, hosting influential shows on WCKY and WLW, and creating a space where fans could argue, celebrate, and mourn with him night after night. Nationally, he joined NBC Sports as a color analyst, eventually becoming their lead NFL analyst in the early 1990s. Over his broadcasting career, he called 4 Super Bowls, multiple Pro Bowls, and Hall of Fame games, as well as major events beyond football like the Olympics and the Ryder Cup, proving that his insight and voice translated far beyond one sport. The video also captures the quiet, emotional detail of his passing, the Bengals confirming that Bob Trumpy died at home, surrounded by family, and holding a moment of silence before their game to honor him. No sensationalism, no speculation about cause of death, just verified facts and genuine respect. Set alongside the deaths of political leaders, actors, and musicians in Who Died This Week, November 2025. Celebrity Deaths and More. Trumpy's segment becomes a bridge between eras, from the rough early days of an expansion franchise to the polished global spectacle of modern sports broadcasting. In remembering Bob Trumpy, the video reminds viewers how one person can change a position, shape a city's sports culture, and then still reinvent himself in a second legendary career behind the microphone. Çeki Karyo. French-Turkish actor Çeki Karyo is one of the most striking names in Who Died This Week, November 2025. 1. Celebrity Deaths and More. Born Baru Çeki Karyo on 4 October 1953 in Istanbul, and raised in Paris, he died of cancer on 31 October 2025 in Brittany, France at the age of 72. The video remembers him as both a movie star at home and a familiar magnetic presence to international audiences, the kind of actor whose face could dominate a scene even when he wasn't the lead. Framed among the week's high-profile deaths, his story stands out for sheer range: European art films, Hollywood blockbusters, prestige TV thrillers, and a late career role that turned him into a cult favorite for a new generation. Karyo's path began on the stage, where he worked in classical and contemporary theater before breaking through in cinema with a César-nominated performance in La Balance, 1982. From there, he became a go-to presence for intense, layered characters in films by major directors. He played the handler Bob in Luc Besson's La Femme Nikita, the ruthless villain Fouché in Bad Boys, and Russian official Dmitry Mishkin in the James Bond film GoldenEye. His other notable credits include The Patriot, 1492, Conquest of Paradise, Nostradamus, The Core, and numerous French productions, often as conflicted, dangerous men whose inner life flickered just beneath the surface. Have you ever watched a thriller and felt like the entire tension of the scene rested in one quietly watchful face? At the edge of the frame, Çeki Karyo specialized in that kind of presence. For many viewers today, he is most deeply associated with Detective Julian Baptiste in the BBC drama The Missing and its spin-off Baptiste. As Baptiste, he traded in the explosive volatility of some of his earlier roles for a quieter intensity, a weary philosophical investigator grappling with grief, trauma, and moral ambiguity. That performance, arriving when he was already in his 60s, revived his international profile and turned him into a late-career icon of prestige television. The video highlights how this character, with his gentle manner and relentless mind, connected deeply with audiences, proof that Karyo's power as an actor came as much from empathy as from menace. Behind the camera, Karyo was also a musician, releasing several albums, and a multilingual artist who moved easily between French, English, and other languages, which helped him build a truly international career. He is survived by his wife, actress Valérie Caruso-Rey, and their children, as well as a daughter from a previous marriage. Within Who Died This Week, November 2025. 1. Celebrity Deaths and More. His segment becomes more than a standard obituary. It is a farewell to a performer who spent over 4 decades slipping between cultures, genres, and languages, leaving behind a body of work that will keep surprising new viewers long after his final credits roll. Diane Ladd. American actress Diane Ladd appears in Who Died This Week, November 2025. 1. Celebrity Deaths and More. As one of the week's most significant losses, a 3-time Oscar nominee whose life and work stretched across more than 70 years of film and television history. Born Rose Diane Ladner on November 29, 1935 in Laurel, Mississippi, she died on November 3, 2025, at her home in Ojai, California, aged 89, with her daughter, actress Laura Dern, by her side. The video highlights how her death doesn't just close the chapter on a beloved performer, but on an entire generation of character actors who brought emotional depth to every scene, even when they weren't at the center of the poster. Her tribute in the episode leans into the roles that defined her public image. Ladd first exploded into wider recognition as Flo, the sharp-tongued waitress in Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, 1974. A performance that earned her an Academy Award nomination and later inspired a long-running TV sitcom, Alice. She would return to that world in a different role, Belle Dupree, winning a Golden Globe for the series and proving she could reinvent herself even inside the same story. Later, she picked up 2 more Oscar nominations for her work in Wild at Heart 1990 and Rambling Rose 1991, both of which paired her on screen with Laura Dern and cemented their status as one of cinema's most compelling real-life mother-daughter duos. Have you ever watched them together and felt that extra invisible charge that only real family can bring to a scene? That spark is part of what the video invites viewers to remember. Beyond those marquee credits, Diane Ladd's career was astonishingly rich, more than 200 film and television appearances from Chinatown and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation to series like Touched by an Angel Enlightened and Ray Donovan. She was also a writer and director, making the film Mrs. Monk, in which she starred opposite her ex-husband Bruce Dern, and later co-authoring a reflective healing memoir with Laura Dern about their relationship and near loss when a misdiagnosis in 2018 gave her only months to live. That she survived that scare and went on to share those conversations with the world adds an extra layer of poignancy to her actual passing in 2025. In the context of Who Died This Week, November 2025, 1 Celebrity Deaths and More, Diane Ladd's segment does exactly what the title promises. It turns a headline about a celebrity death into a fuller, carefully grounded portrait of a life. The video doesn't chase rumor or sensationalism. It stays with verifiable facts, dates, places, roles, and lets the emotional weight come from the work itself. 3 Oscar nominations, a BAFTA, an Emmy, and Golden Globe-nominated career, and a legacy carried forward not only in her own performances, but in the artistry of the daughter she raised and often shared the screen with. Dick Cheney. Former U.S. Vice President Dick Cheney appears in Who Died This Week, November 2025. 1 Celebrity Deaths and More. As one of the central figures of the episode, a reminder that some weekly obituaries carry the full weight of world history. Born Richard Bruce Cheney on January 30, 1941 in Lincoln, Nebraska, and raised in Casper, Wyoming, he died on the evening of November 3, 2025, at the age of 84 from complications of pneumonia, combined with long-standing cardiac and vascular disease. His family's statement noted that he passed away surrounded by his wife of 61 years, Lynn, and their daughters Liz and Mary, a quiet end for a man whose decisions helped shape wars laws and global security policy for decades. The video sketches his career like a timeline of late 20th and early 21st century power. Cheney first entered national politics in the late 1960s, eventually serving as White House Chief of Staff under President Gerald Ford, then as U.S. Representative for Wyoming for 10 years, and later as Secretary of Defense under President George H.W. Bush, overseeing the U.S.-led coalition in Operation Desert Storm during the 1991 Gulf War. From 2001 to 2009, he served as the 46th Vice President of the United States under George W. Bush, becoming one of the most influential and controversial vice presidents in American history. His role in the War on Terror, his advocacy for the USA Patriot Act, warrantless surveillance, and the invasions of Afghanistan and Iraq turned him into a symbol of the post-9/11 security state. Have you ever heard a political debate about torture surveillance or executive power and felt that somewhere in the background, Cheney's shadow was still on the stage? The segment also acknowledges that his public life was marked by intense polarization. Supporters saw him as a decisive strategist and an unwavering defender of American interests. Critics viewed him as the architect of some of the most damaging foreign policy and civil liberties decisions of his era. In later years, Cheney surprised many by breaking with much of his own party over Donald Trump backing his daughter Liz Cheney's opposition to Trump and eventually supporting Kamala Harris in the 2024 presidential election, an arc that underscores how his ideas about institutions and constitutional order remained central to his identity. Away from the podium, he battled serious heart disease for decades, surviving 5 heart attacks, undergoing quadruple bypass surgery, and finally receiving a heart transplant in 2012, which allowed him to stay active in public life far longer than many expected. Within Who Died? This week, November 2025. 1 Celebrity Deaths and More. Cheney's death is presented without rumor or spin, a confirmed passing, a clear cause, and a record of office's decisions and consequences that can be traced in official documents, rather than speculation. Set alongside the losses of actors, musicians, athletes, and innovators, his story gives the episode its heaviest political weight. It asks viewers implicitly to sit with the complexity of a legacy that cannot be neatly labeled hero or villain, and to recognize that when someone at that level dies, what's really closing is a long, turbulent chapter of the world we all still live in. Dwayne Roberts. Businessman Dwayne Roberts is remembered as the man whose simple idea quietly changed how millions of people eat. Born in November 1936 and raised in Riverside, California, he died peacefully in his sleep on November 1, 2025, at the age of 88, surrounded by family and the couple's 3 beloved dogs. His wife, Kelly J. Roberts, described him as both a visionary entrepreneur and a devoted husband, and that blend of sharp business instinct and generous heart runs through every chapter of his life story. Roberts secured his place in everyday history with one iconic invention, the frozen burrito. In 1956, while working at his family's company, Butcher Boy Food Products, he noticed fast food restaurants were eager to expand their menus beyond burgers. His answer was a product that could be made in bulk, frozen, shipped anywhere, and quickly reheated a burrito built for the freezer case. The idea exploded. At its peak, Butcher Boy was reportedly generating around $80 million a year and producing over 1 million burritos a day before Roberts sold the business in 1980. From gas station warmers to supermarket aisles and late-night microwaves, his frozen burrito became a quiet but permanent part of American food culture. Roberts didn't stop with food manufacturing. In 1992, he and Kelly purchased the shuttered, decaying Mission Inn Hotel and Spa in downtown Riverside, a historic landmark dangerously close to demolition. They poured roughly $55 million into restoring the 238-room Spanish Mission-style property, reviving its ornate courtyards, towers, and arcades, and transforming it into a AAA 4-diamond destination. Today, the Mission Inn is known worldwide for its lavish festival of lights, drawing hundreds of thousands of visitors each year. Have you ever walked through a glowing old hotel at Christmas time and wondered who had the courage and the cash to save it from ruin? In Riverside, that answer is Dwayne Roberts. By the later years of his life, Roberts was widely regarded as a billionaire entrepreneur and dedicated philanthropist supporting education veterans, the arts, animal welfare, and civic projects that shaped the identity of his hometown. His legacy lives in 2 very different but deeply connected places: the freezer aisle that made quick, hot meals possible for busy families, and the grand, glowing Mission Inn that turned a threatened relic into the beating heart of a city's reborn downtown. John Wesley Riles. Country singer John Wesley Riles is being remembered as one of Nashville's great quiet giants, a voice you may not always have seen, but almost certainly have heard. Born on December 2, 1950 in Bastrop, Louisiana, he died on November 2, 2025 at the age of 74. As a teenager of just 17, he burst onto the country charts in 1968 with K, a top 10 hit that also lent its name to his debut album. That early success launched a recording career that would span decades, bridging the late 60s honky-tonk era and the polished Nashville sound of the 80s. Through the 1970s, Riles built a solid run of hits, including Fool Once in a Lifetime Thing, Liberated Woman, Louisiana Rain, and a warmly received rendition of You Are Always on My Mind. In total, he notched more than 30 charting singles with around 8-11 top 20 hits depending on the source, and placed albums like K and his self-titled 1977 release on the country album charts. Labels such as Columbia Plantation, ABC.MCA, and Warner Brothers all carried his name at various points, proof of how consistently his records found an audience. Do you remember the first time you heard K and realized that big, emotional voice belonged to someone barely out of high school? Yet the second half of Riles' career may be where his influence ran deepest. From the late 1980s onward, he became one of Nashville's most sought-after session and harmony vocalists, the kind of singer producers call when they need a blend that feels effortless and perfectly in tune with the star. Industry tributes after his death pointed out that if you love 80s and 90s country, there's a good chance John Wesley Riles is somewhere in the background of your favorite tracks singing harmonies for more than 25 members of the Country Music Hall of Fame. Fellow artists described him as a giant in the music industry, not because he chased the spotlight, but because he made everyone around him sound better. Off-stage, Riles' life was tightly woven into country music royalty. He married Joni Lee, daughter of legendary singer Conway Twitty, and even toured Europe with Twitty in 1969, deepening both a family bond and a professional legacy. Friends and relatives have remembered him as a kind, gentle, deeply musical man whose velvet voice never faded even as he shifted from charting artist to behind-the-scenes master. With his passing, country music loses not just a former hitmaker, but a cornerstone of the Nashville sound itself. A reminder that sometimes the most enduring careers are the ones built less on fame than on the pure, steady craft of making songs feel complete. Marianne Wilson. Fitness pioneer Marianne Wilson is remembered as the gentle, encouraging presence who helped millions of older adults and people with limited mobility keep moving. Born on May 15, 1938, she died on November 5, 2025 at the age of 87. A registered nurse specializing in geriatrics and post-polio rehabilitation, she saw early in her career how many seniors were getting injured or dropping out of traditional aerobics classes. Instead of accepting that as inevitable, she asked a simple but radical question: what if exercise met people where they are, instead of demanding that they keep up? That question led to Sit and Be Fit, the half-hour PBS exercise program she launched in 1987. Filmed out of Spokane, Washington, the show focused on slow, gentle movements often done entirely from a chair that targeted flexibility, balance, circulation, and strength. Over the years, Sit and Be Fit grew from a regional experiment to a national institution airing on 300-plus PBS stations and reaching tens of millions of households. Viewers wrote in from retirement homes, rehab centers, and living rooms to say her simple routines had eased pain, restored confidence, or made it possible to move without fear again. Have you ever seen her sitting tall in that chair, bright smile ready, and felt like she was talking directly to you or someone you love? Wilson wasn't just a TV host. She built an entire ecosystem around accessible fitness. As executive director and founder of the nonprofit Sit and Be Fit organization, she produced DVDs, wrote exercise manuals, collaborated with doctors and physical therapists, and designed specialized workouts for conditions like COPD, stroke recovery, and neurological disorders. Her thoughtful, evidence-informed approach earned her induction into the National Fitness Hall of Fame in 2017 and a President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition Community Leadership Award in 2019. Colleagues often called her the Mr. Rogers of fitness TV for her calm, reassuring tone and the way she treated every viewer as a whole person, not just a body to be trained. Behind the scenes, Marianne worked closely with her daughter Gretchen Wilson, who produced and directed many episodes, turning the show into a true family effort. Together, they expanded Sit and Be Fit into books, live appearances, and educational resources for health professionals. Even into her 80s, Marianne remained an active creative force, helping design new seasons and specialized programs. With her passing, the world loses not only a beloved TV figure, but a nurse educator who quietly reshaped what fitness can look like: slow-seated, compassionate, and deeply inclusive. Marshawn Kneeland. Defensive end, Marshawn Kneeland is being remembered as a rising NFL talent whose story was still being written when it was suddenly cut short. Born on July 8, 2001 in Grand Rapids, Michigan, he died in Frisco, Texas in the early hours of November 5, 2025, at just 24 years old. At the time of his death, Kneeland was in his second season with the Dallas Cowboys, where coaches and teammates saw him as one of the young players with true breakout potential. Just days earlier, he'd experienced what should have been a career-defining high, his first NFL touchdown on Monday Night Football, recovering a blocked punt against the Arizona Cardinals and electrifying the stadium. Kneeland's journey to that moment started far from the spotlight. At Godwin Heights High School in Wyoming, Michigan, he starred on both sides of the ball before earning his way to Western Michigan University. From 2019 to 2023, he developed into a force on the Broncos' defensive line, piling up 149 tackles and 5 sacks and earning second-team All-MAC honors in 2023. That production, combined with his 6'3", 268-pound frame and explosive athleticism, made him a coveted NFL prospect. In the 2024 NFL Draft, the Cowboys selected him in the second round, 56th overall, betting that he could become a cornerstone of their pass rush for years to come. Have you ever watched a young player flying around the field and thought, this is just the beginning for him? That was the feeling many Cowboys fans had about Marshawn Kneeland. On the field, he showed exactly why. As a rookie in 2024, Kneeland appeared in 11 games fighting through a knee injury, but still contributing 14 tackles and valuable snaps in the defensive rotation. In 2025, he took another step forward, starting multiple games and recording 12 tackles, 1 sack, and that unforgettable special teams touchdown, giving him 26 total tackles and 1.0 career sack over 18 NFL games. Coaches praised his work ethic and motor. Teammates talked about his energy, humor, and the way he carried his late mother's memory with him, often literally in the form of a necklace containing her ashes. To many inside the locker room, he wasn't just a promising defender. He was the heart of a family still forming. Kneeland's death, reported by authorities as an apparent suicide following a police pursuit, has sparked an outpouring of grief across the league and renewed calls to take mental health in professional sports more seriously. The Cowboys, the NFL, Western Michigan, and countless fans have shared tributes remembering him as a passionate, kind, and deeply committed young man whose life held so much more than a stat line. His story now stands as both a celebration of what he achieved in just 24 years and a sober reminder that even those who look strongest under the lights may be struggling in ways we can't see. If you or someone you know is in emotional distress or having thoughts of self-harm, please reach out to your local crisis service. In the United States, you can call or text 988 for confidential support. Charles Coste. French cyclist Charles Coste is remembered as a living bridge between the post-war Olympic era and the modern games. Born on 8th of February 1924 in Alioul in southern France, he died on 30th of October 2025, aged 101. At the time of his passing, he was widely recognized as the world's oldest living Olympic champion and the oldest surviving medalist from the 1948 London Olympics. His life story carries that rare sense of continuity, a young man racing in a Europe, still recovering from World War II, and a centenarian honored on the global stage nearly 8 decades later. Coste's greatest sporting triumph came at the 1948 Summer Olympics in London, where he won gold in the team pursuit on the track, riding alongside Serge Blouson, Fernand Decanali, and Pierre Adam, a quartet affectionately nicknamed France's ABCD team. The following year, he underlined his class by winning the prestigious Grand Prix des Nations time trial in 1949, famously defeating Italian legend Fausto Coppi over roughly 140 kilos. He also took bronze in the individual pursuit at the 1948 World Championships and finished 4th in Paris-Roubaix, 1950, showing he could shine both on the track and on the road. After a professional career that ran into the late 1950s, he quietly stepped away from top-level racing and worked outside cycling, his Olympic glory gradually fading from public view even as it remained vivid in the record books. That changed dramatically in the 2020s when France and the Olympic world rediscovered him. In 2022, Coste was made a Chevalier of the Légion d'honneur, belated recognition of his contribution to French sport. In July 2024, at 100 years old, he became one of the most poignant figures of the Paris 2024 Olympic Games, serving as the penultimate torchbearer at the opening ceremony. Seated in a wheelchair but still unmistakably proud, he carried the flame and then passed it to fellow French Olympic icons, Marie-Josée Pérec and Teddy Riner, who lit the cauldron. Have you ever watched an opening ceremony and felt that one quiet moment said more than any fireworks? For many viewers, seeing Charles Coste hand over that torch was exactly that kind of moment. By early 2025, after the death of gymnast Agnès Keleti-Coste, had become not only France's oldest living Olympic champion, but also the oldest Olympic gold medalist in the world. Tributes following his death from French officials, the International Olympic Committee, and the global cycling community all returned to the same themes: his humility, his endurance, and the way his life embodied the Olympic spirit over more than a century. Charles Coste's name may not be as instantly recognizable as some modern stars, but his story of talent, resilience, and a flame carried across 101 years now stands as one of the most moving chapters in Olympic history. Pauline Collins. British actress Pauline Collins is being mourned as one of the warmest, most human presences to ever cross stage and screen. Born Pauline Angela Collins on September 3, 1940, in Exmouth, Devon. She died peacefully on November 5, 2025, aged 85, in a care home in Highgate, North London, after living with Parkinson's disease for several years. Her family were by her side. Over more than 5 decades of work, she moved from supporting TV roles to becoming a bona fide national treasure, the rare performer who could be both utterly ordinary and quietly luminous at the same time. Collins first became widely known in the early 1970s as Sarah Moffat, the maid who captured viewers' hearts in the hit drama Upstairs, Downstairs, and its spin-off Thomas and Sarah. Before and after that, she logged a steady string of appearances in series such as The Liverbirds and Doctor Who, learning how to steal a scene with nothing more than a look or a line tossed away just right. But her defining role was the title character in Shirley Valentine, first on stage in London's West End, and on Broadway then in the 1989 film. As Shirley, a middle-aged Liverpool housewife who rediscovers herself on a Greek island, Collins won the Laurence Olivier Award and Tony Award for the play, then a BAFTA for the film, along with Oscar and Golden Globe nominations. Have you ever watched Shirley talking to the kitchen wall and felt uncomfortably like she was talking straight to you? That was Pauline Collins at her purest, funny, vulnerable, and brutally honest. Her career never narrowed to that single success. Collins went on to star in TV dramas like Forever Green and The Ambassador, and appeared in films including City of Joy, Paradise Road, Albert Nobbs Quartet, and The Time of Their Lives. In 2001, she was appointed an Officer of the Order of the British Empire, OBE, for services to drama, formal recognition of what audiences already knew. Yet some of her deepest work happened off-screen. In her 1992 autobiography, Letter to Louise Collins, told the story of giving up her first daughter, Louise, born from a relationship with actor Tony Rohr for adoption when she was a struggling young actress, and of their emotional reunion 21 years later. The candor of that book reshaped public understanding of her, revealing a woman who had lived through shame, loss, and reconciliation, and chosen to speak about it. In her personal life, Pauline Collins shared both love and work with actor John Alderton, whom she married in 1969. The two often acted together and raised 3 children, Nicholas, Kate, and Richard, alongside Collins's reunited daughter, Louise. Friends and colleagues describe her as witty, generous, and fiercely professional, the kind of actor who lifted everyone else's performance just by being present. With her death, the world loses not only the unforgettable Shirley Valentine, but a storyteller whose own life mirrored her greatest roles, a blend of humor, heartbreak, resilience, and a stubborn belief that it's never too late to change your story. These lives we've just revisited, from quiet character actors and fearless musicians to trailblazing innovators and public figures, remind us that legacy is built in very different ways. Some changed laws and headlines, others changed how we eat, move, laugh, or heal, yet all left marks that time can't easily erase. Here on Legends of Black Excellence, we honor every story that pushes culture forward and forces us to rethink what true greatness looks like. So as we close this week's roll call, which kind of legacy do you believe history should celebrate most loudly?